G'day ladies and gents, and welcome back to War Thunder. Today, we're going to be having a look at No Thermals Gang. It's a wonderful world, and we're going to be looking at that in the ZTZ-96. This particular tank sits at battle rating 9.3, and so guess what? You're going to go and face some 10.3s. A lot of the time, it can actually be quite frustrating fighting things like 10.3s in your 9.3s, but the ZTZ-96 actually does it fairly well. The tank itself is more or less analogous to the T-72. I don't know if it has the same gun. I would assume it more or less does, and I would assume that the ammunition is more or less the same as well. But a lot of the times, you are going to face a lot of very advanced armoured vehicles. In the ZTZ-96, you'll face things like the M1A2, the Leclerc, the Ariete P. Things that will very readily outmatch you. Now, with no thermals, that makes that issue a lot harder. You tend to struggle a little bit more if you don't have those thermals. And it kind of sucks, but I'm going to give you a couple of little tips. There are sort of three main ways that you can not quite eliminate the use of thermals, but you can certainly lower their advantage against you. And of course, this can be applied to other tanks as well, but for me, it really works against those guys that don't get that luxury of thermals, because at the end of the day, you're the one who's going to have to pull off the first shot. Unfortunately, against that Abrams, I miss and potato. Now, in the background footage, what you're going to have a look at is the first method, and that is run away and cry in a little hidey hole. That is exactly what I'm doing. I'm using this building to try and secure my my thermal signature, try and hide it a little bit. And there I get my first kill. An M1 Abrams. Very nice. The ZTZ-96 is a fairly capable tank, to be honest. You just have to get a little bit lucky sometimes, and in this case, I would say I got a little bit lucky. But hiding my thermal signature with buildings is a really, really interesting way of mitigating your disadvantages, let's say. Thermals, there is no doubt, offer such a huge advantage for your opponent. And when you don't have them, you need to, employ little strategies. Have a look at what I'm doing here. The warrior just passed over me, and I'm going to assume that he's got thermals because the warrior, comes with thermals. This M1A2 did not see me, and I get myself a lucky little kill because Mr. Abrams there is blind. This particular spot on Sinai is actually a really cheeky spot. And by the way, if you think I sound a little bit nasal, that is because my lungs suck, basically. I have asthma, and I can't find my puffer, so I suppose I'm just going to wait for it to pass. But until then, you guys can have a video. Dedication. I love it. Anyway, the Merkava Mark II seems to meet his maker because he angles his tank a little bit too far, and any Russian or Israeli tank that you angle like that just a little bit too much, even the Leopard 2. In fact, just about any tank that you angle just a tiny bit at this tier is built for frontal protection only. Angling your armor doesn't really do anything. But what does do things is just keeping this little bit of distance between you and your opponent. That's exactly what I've had to do here because I don't have any support with me. Have a look at the minimap. My team is occupied with A and B, and so this M1IP gets his revenge, or I guess gets a nice meal in the form of a ZTZ-96 driven by yours truly. Now, we are going to move on to the second method, which is, don't laugh, it's just to get lucky. I know, it's a very, very foolproof strategy. As you can see, I'm very, very lucky in this case. You'll eventually see exactly what I mean. But I'm gonna try and hide myself in a shadow, I suppose. You can see I'm using night vision, and honestly, I don't think night vision makes too much of a difference. Abrams decides he wants to drive across me, and I get a fire, cutting it into his engine, and of course I track him as well. So what do? I donk the shot into his fuel tank on the top of his engine bay. Very smart and very epic indeed. So, to make that up, I'm going to use a high explosive shell, and that's going to go over the top because I'm a potato, and the kill eventually gets taken by a friendly ZTZ. Not really to worry there, but there's more. There's more, trust me. So, I'm just kind of looking for an opponent to shoot at. I'm thinking maybe I should just wait for someone to cross by my guns, which isn't really a great strategy, and I'll get to that in a little bit. But have a look at the minimap. My team is getting taken over, and I need to go and do something. And then I spot the 2 tanks up above me. Type 16, which gets taken out by the ZTZ. And there's another tank that I don't know what it is. And for all I know, it could be an M1A2. It could be an XM1. Hell, it could probably be an M22. You never know with these epic memers. So, the T64 and the 2A4 are, flashing, so it probably means that they've requested some help. I didn't really get a chance to look at it. One of the Abrams gets taken out, and that's him there. He's his smoking wreck. I see something fire off in the corner of my eyes, and there he is, M1A2 Abrams. Oh boy, that has a good gun, and you don't really want to be on the end of that. So, I'm glad I got the first shot, especially while he was reloading, which, if you can, try not to, because that bullet is going somewhere, which is probably at a teammate. And like I've said in many videos, if you can save a teammate, then that is worth it in its entirety. So, a cheeky little arty strike on B, which at this tier does bugger all. And I'm going to try and make my way back to get a little angle on the B cap, because it seems like there's an XM1 that is really holding out that cap well. The XM1 is a fantastic little tank. And whilst I'm a little bit out of my depth playing 9.3, it's quite fun, and I've had quite a good time playing the Abrams. In fact, I actually bought it with my own money from the April Fool's event. I think it was last year, where they gave away a supposed free Abrams. I believe they made premium time and 13,337 Golden Eagles, something like that. Doesn't matter, though, because Golden Eagles ain't going to buy you a new tank like that. Well, you get what I'm saying. That XM1 managed to meet his maker because I just got a lucky shot. And as I round the corner, yeah. Oh, man. If it wasn't for the eyes, I would not have seen him until I started shooting. And if I had come out around the corner with my tank sight on, I would have died. As is this Abrams he's about to find out. He's also about to meet his maker. Straight through smoke. Oh man, that is a beautiful kill. I managed to decapitate the driver, but it's okay, guys. He's just unconscious. He's just gone to sleep. He'll wake up as soon as his owner or his driver or his commander or whatever has decided to pay the repair cost. So it's okay, kids. You can open your eyes. Speaking of opening my eyes, night vision ain't going to help against that. And speaking of night vision, I really don't think it makes a difference. Thermals make all the difference in the world, but night vision, it just gives you a sort of grainy image to look at. And honestly, even though it's probably historical, or accurate rather, I don't really think it should be grainy. I think it should be a bit brighter, and I think it should be less grainy, a bit more clear, because first of all, it's just nicer to look at, and it's also a good way to bridge the gap between thermals and night vision. On top of that, if you're a YouTuber like me, or if you just like to record things and put them on YouTube, or share with your friends or something, then you get a nice crystal clear recording that is noise free. And if you can avoid noise, that's great. On top of that, you can see that these Abrams have freedom dispensers, also known as M2 Brownings, on top of their tank, and they're firing them away at me. I can't see shit because of it, and as a result, I get clapped by Abrams. Looks like I can't escape freedom for long, and there I go, nice and toasty. So, on to the final match. So, we've covered two of the three strategies to minimize the effectiveness of thermals. The first one is to find a cheeky spot, hide in it, and cry. The second one is to get lucky. And the third is this. to be a complete dick, sit in the corner of the map, and wait for enemies to drive in front of your guns. Yep, that is what it's come to. In all honesty, it's not that great of a strategy. It's probably the weakest because it is map dependent. In this case, it is Eastern Europe, and the cap is 2,000 meters away. Yeah. I'm not really being too much of a help to my team unless I can make some kills. And in this case, I do. So I suppose I've done my job. But at the same time, is it really a great way to play? I've never liked camping, and this is the exact reason why. It's just so passive. You're not really doing anything. I could go and be a hero and take that A cap, or I could be a little bit closer to the action and take out opponents as they're, I suppose, finding themselves a good piece of cover. I could be brawling with opponents on the cap circle. But no, because I don't have thermals, I feel like I have to go and sit in a corner and just pick off people as they come. And for me, that's really sad, because I don't get that opportunity like the other tanks do. And it makes me sad, because I don't like camping. Anyway, whilst this particular spot is not that fruitful in this particular match, I'm going to move on to my second favourite spot on this map to camp, which is about 200 meters down the road. Yeah, very creative and absolutely thrilling gameplay to watch. Well, honestly, it gets a little bit better, because there are opponents that I can pretty easily take out as they crest the ridge from their spawn. Very wholesome gameplay indeed. You see, this particular map is fairly dogshit when it comes to spawn, and once you go over that hill, if you're not in the valley below near the river, or up by the trees, way off in the distance over there, then you're pretty much bloody screwed. And I think that's a pretty bad sign of map design. That's one thing Gaijin just can't do. Over the years, they've produced 5 good maps, and a lot of them are older maps, which is kind of sad. So, this case here I'd like to show you is really, really important to what I'm saying about thermals. If I had thermals, by now, if I fluffed the shot, I would probably be able to have made that third shot. But because I can't see where he is, because of a combination of dust, trees, and the fact that his crew is probably up and he's making a break for any piece of cover that he can find, I'm not able to discern where he is. And I find that really sad. It is a full up tier, of course, and maybe that's something to expect from a full up tier. But the CV90, the CV90 105, the premium, is a battle rating 9.0. Has Commander thermals, and this thing is at 9.3. Take that as you will. Thank you, Max, for being a complete and total asshole. If you guys can hear it, that's my little cat. Well, he's not mine, he's the neighbor's, but someone doesn't take care of him. Just like the ADATS driver is not taking care of his tank and gets himself blown out in the middle. Yeah, if you guys, I suppose I'll put a picture of Max in the video. You'll be able to see his lovely face. He's a little bit of an asshole, but he's cute and fluffy, so I take care of him. Anyway, back to the gameplay. The XM1 meets his untimely demise because he is also out in the open. And this is pretty much where the fun ends. All I'm doing is camping, and this is the only thing that I can do to just make a couple of kills or make a contribution to my team. The XM1 over there probably knows that I'm somewhere in this vicinity, but because I'm a potato and didn't range find that shot, I end up ricocheting off the bottom of his track, and so now he knows. But the ZTZ96 is actually a fairly good tank and comes with a decent amount of armor, whereas the XM1 is more reliant on its speed, its versatility, and its maneuverability. Unfortunately for him, I'm in the better situation. I'm lower front plate down, and I'm also with a rangefinder, I suppose. That was probably Max tearing something down because he's a little shit. Anyway, there goes that XM1, and I'm looking at perhaps securing myself a little kill. I think it's an ADATS, judging by the ATGM and the rapid fire. So I pull up behind this bush, and hopefully I'm able to survive a 900mm shell. But to my surprise, it's actually Bradley. You know, the virgin version of the ADATS. And so I survive. I get quite lucky. So, thermals. What is there to do about them? What could you possibly do to make this not unfair? Well, the simple answer is decompression. Battle rating, decompression. Putting those commander thermals a little bit higher because they are just so powerful. And unfortunately, there's nothing else that we can do. That is my only solution. I don't see anything else. Let me know in the comments what you guys might think. But I suppose that's enough for today's video. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you enjoyed that little picture of Max, because he's very fluffy, but he's a little arsehole. Don't be an arsehole like Max. Take care, stay safe, and I'll catch you next time.
Look at this naughty little boy. Sleepyhead. Meowing all this time? Just because you wanted to be tucked in. You're a fucking asshole. But you're cute and fluffy, so I love you. Oh god.